Control dramas are unconscious tactics people use to manipulate others in order to gain attention, energy, or a sense of control within their interactions. These behaviors stem from childhood experiences, where individuals learn to cope with emotional neglect, conflict, or unmet needs by developing specific strategies to assert their power in relationships. The term control dramas was popularized by James Redfield in The Celestine Prophecy, which explores how individuals, often unconsciously, attempt to siphon energy from others in an effort to feel empowered. At their core, control dramas are about power dynamics, how we manage the flow of emotional energy between ourselves and others. When we feel powerless, insecure, or unacknowledged, we instinctively activate these control dramas to regain a sense of stability and authority. There are four main archetypes of control dramas: the intimidator, the interrogator, the aloof, and the poor me. Each of these strategies serves a specific function in controlling the interaction and drawing attention or energy toward the individual using the drama. While the tactics differ, the goal is the same: to manipulate the situation to maintain a sense of power or avoid feeling vulnerable. The intimidator uses aggression, dominance, or fear to control others. This archetype asserts power through threats, either physical or emotional, and creates an atmosphere where others feel pressured to comply or withdraw. People who employ the intimidator tactic often feel powerless internally, so they resort to controlling others by making them feel unsafe or insecure. This dynamic is commonly seen in bullying behavior or in relationships where one person dominates through anger, loudness, or threats. By intimidating others, they force people to submit and, in return, they feel a fleeting sense of control and superiority. The interrogator takes a more subtle, but equally manipulative, approach. This archetype controls by questioning, criticizing, or constantly probing the actions and motives of others. The interrogator seeks to place others on the defensive, making them feel scrutinized or inadequate. Through this dynamic, the interrogator gains power by positioning themselves as the authority figure, the one who knows better or who holds others accountable. The goal is to weaken the confidence of others, forcing them to justify themselves and, in doing so, inadvertently handing over their energy to the interrogator. This dynamic can create an environment of tension and self-doubt, as the person being interrogated feels constantly judged and insufficient. The aloof archetype, on the other hand, controls through emotional withdrawal and detachment. This individual seeks power by withholding attention, affection, or engagement. By appearing distant, mysterious, or emotionally unavailable, the aloof forces others to chase after them, often feeling confused or insecure about the relationship. People may find themselves overexerting their energy trying to understand, connect with, or please the aloof individual, and in this process, they hand over their power. The aloof maintains control by keeping others off balance, never fully committing to the interaction or revealing their intentions, which leaves the other party constantly seeking validation. Finally, the poor me archetype seeks control through victimhood and passive manipulation. This individual draws power by eliciting sympathy, pity, or guilt from others. By presenting themselves as a victim of circumstances, the poor me manipulates others into feeling responsible for their emotional well-being or obligated to help them. In this dynamic, people may feel compelled to offer support, attention, or reassurance, thereby giving the poor me the energy they crave. The poor me archetype often avoids responsibility for their actions, instead using their perceived helplessness as a way to control how others treat them and what they can get out of the relationship. These control dramas rarely operate in isolation, and their interaction with each other can create complex power dynamics within relationships. For example, an intimidator may provoke a poor me into adopting a victim stance to avoid confrontation, while an interrogator may pair with an aloof individual, perpetuating a cycle where one criticizes and the other withholds. These power dynamics can be cyclical, with individuals unconsciously shifting between control dramas depending on the situation. For instance, someone might use the aloof strategy in response to feeling overwhelmed by an intimidator but switch to the poor me archetype when needing emotional support. Control dramas are rooted in the fundamental human need for energy and validation. When we engage in these dramas, we are trying to extract energy from others to feel whole or empowered. However, the effect is temporary, and the dynamics often lead to negative, draining relationships where both parties feel disconnected, misunderstood, or frustrated. The power dynamics within control dramas are ultimately about avoiding vulnerability and maintaining a false sense of dominance or security, but they prevent genuine emotional connection and intimacy. The only way to break free from these unconscious patterns is to recognize them within ourselves. Once we are aware of our own tendencies to engage in control dramas, whether it's through intimidation, questioning, withdrawal, or victimhood, we can consciously choose to engage differently. Developing self-awareness and practicing emotional honesty are key steps toward healthier communication and relationships. Instead of manipulating others for energy or power, we can learn to cultivate a sense of internal security, emotional self-sufficiency, and mutual respect. Healing from control dramas requires us to address the deeper emotional wounds and insecurities that fuel them. For many, this means revisiting early childhood experiences where these patterns were first learned. It means acknowledging the unmet needs or feelings of inadequacy that drive the need for control in the first place. Once we understand the root cause of these behaviors, we can work toward more authentic, balanced relationships based on equality, empathy, and mutual energy exchange, rather than manipulation and power struggles. The ultimate goal is to move beyond control dramas and create relationships where both individuals feel seen, respected, and empowered in their own right.